welcome to another video on Dhcp configuration on Windows Server. So today I will be showing you how to configure Dhcp on Windows Server. So first of all, what is Dhcp? A Dhcp is a role on the server that is used to dynamically distribute IPs on the devices in a network. So which means that if you have, let's say, 100 to 200 devices in a network, the Dhcp server will automatically distribute IPs to all the devices in that network, except the device or except the IP except an IP is excluded. So if you set a range of, let's say, I want the scope of my IP network is 192.168.100.1 to 192.168.100.200. This is my range. So this IP this your scope of IP will be distributed among all the devices in that network, except you specifically exclude an IP in that scope. So you are going to understand all this when we begin the practical section. But all I want you to know now at this moment is that a DHCP, which is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, is a role on the server that is used to distribute IPs to all devices in a network. So as an IT administrator, before you configure your DHCP, your server, which is serving as the host, right, you need to assign a static IP to the server. So why are we doing this? Is because the server is the base. So I'm going to show you mine now. You simply go to your network adapter. I think it is still open. Yeah, you go to your network adapter, you click on properties, then you click on IPv4, then you click on properties again. So you can see I'm using a manually assigned IP to my server, which is 192.168.100.1, right? So that is what I am using. So, and a static IP has been assigned to this server already. So now, after the static IP is assigned, the next thing is to go ahead and configure your DHCP. So you come to tools, you go to DHCP, this is our DHCP screen. Then I expand to get my IPv4. Then I right click on IPv4 and click on new scope. Then the next thing, you see this wizard, you click on next, you give it a name. I'll give it a name as Neota DHCP. So if you like, you can give it a description, but I'm fine with it being blank. So click on next. So what is our start IP? Our start IP is 192.168.100.1, which is my base, which is the base IP I used here. Let's not forget. .192.168.100.1 is my base IP. So some people will ask you that, why are you using 192.168.100.1? It is already assigned to the server, so why are we putting it in our DHCP range again? Which means that our DHCP is still going to distribute this 192 to a device in that network. So all we need to do is, I like doing it this way, right? You can simply say, okay, 192.168.100.2. So which means that the DHCP is going to start distributing IPs to the devices on the network from 192.168.100.2. But I just like including the base IP to my DHCP configuration, and I'll tell you what we'll do next. So our end IP will be 192.168.100.200. So now we are setting our scope. What we are simply doing here and what it is simply telling you is that all the devices in the network will get IP distributed to them in this range. So the IP that is going to be distributed to all the devices in that network will be in this range from 192.168.100.1 to 192.168.100.2. So let's say the devices on the network are 50. So all the devices on that network is going to get an IP distributed to them dynamically, right? So now, just like I've said earlier on, that some people will ask you that um why are you assigning, why are you using 192.168.100.1, 192.168.100.1 as your start IP, since the IP has been assigned to the server already statically, right? So it's actually not a problem. Just like I've told you, I like doing my configuration like this. I like putting the base IP as the start IP. And what I'll now do next is to come here, add exclusion and delay. So here I will now add 192.168.100.1. I would exclude my server IP. If I do not exclude it, it is going to cause a clash, because that means that 192.168.100.1 will be distributed to a device on that network again, which is not proper. That is wrong. So all I need to do, since I am including my base IP as the start IP, all I need to do is to exclude it. The exclusion means that when the DHCP starts distributing IP, it is going to exclude my base IP, which is the server IP I've assigned, the IP I've assigned to my server, which is 192.168.100.1. So let's take for instance again, if the management comes to you and tell you that, oh, we don't want the chief technology officer's device to be assigned to be in the DHCP configuration. Let's say the um the chief technology officer's device, let's say his desktop or his laptop PC is having a range of 192.168.100.100.2, for instance, right? So this means that we are going to exclude this IP. So let's say again, we have some printers on the network, and the printer's IP is 192.168.100.3, right? .100.3. Then we'll add it to the exclusion so that the IP will not be distributed to any other devices on the network. If the management comes with a range of IP that we don't want from 192.168.100.4 to to .10 or to .15, you can also include it here as 192.168.100.4, right? Or let's say .5. Let's exclude 4. Let's say 192.168.100.5 to 192.168.100.20. Sorry, there is a mistake here. 192.168.100.20. So which means from 192.168.100.5 to 192.168.100.20 is not going to be assigned to any devices in that network, right? So let's go again. 192.168.100.1 is my base IP, so I'm excluding it, which means that we are telling the DHCP server not to distribute that IP. Again, we are telling the server not to distribute 192.168.100.2 because you have been told by the management that, oh, 192.168.100.2 is the chief technology officer's device, maybe the laptop, and we don't want the laptop to be dynamically to be a dynamic IP. We want it to be static. So the chief technology officer is using that IP. So we don't want to include it in the DHCP scope range. Then again, you have a printer in the network which is 192.168.100.3. We don't want this to be distributed, to be included in our DHCP configuration, because why? The printer is also using it. Take for instance, if the printer IP is changing often, it is going to be a stress now. You understand what I mean? Or let's say you have an application on the server that is locally hosted, it is using a static IP, right? So you don't need to include it here, because the DHCP will be changing. We'll still get to that point. The DHCP will be distributing IPs based on your configuration, right? So dynamically it will be distributing IP. That means the IPs will be changing often depending on your configuration. It's not going to be static, right? So again, the management told you that we don't want to distribute a range of IP from 192.168.100.5 to 192.168.100.20. So these IPs will not be distributed by the DHCP server, because we have excluded those IP. So we don't need to set a delay, so we just click on next. So now, list duration. So this is getting very interesting. So a list duration means that how many days or how many hours will this IP that you have assigned to the devices expire. For example, just like we have illustrated in our previous screen, if you have assigned IPs to all the devices in the network, how many days will the IPs take before they expire? Is it 7 days? Is it 1 month? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 4 months? Is it 5 months? Is it even 1 year? So if you want the DHCP server to redistribute the IPs to all the devices on the network, maybe every 21 days. So which means that every 21 days, the IP that the DHCP server has distributed to the devices on the network will expire, and the DHCP server will redistribute IPs to all the devices in that network. And this is why it is called dynamic. Right. I hope you get that. Right. So now we are telling the DHCP server that for every 21 days, the IP is going to expire, and you are to, redistribute IPs to all the devices on that network again. So the DHCP server is going to redistribute IPs, new IPs in that same range, in that same scope. It's going to distribute IP to all the devices on the network. So which means that if your devices is using 192.168.100.4 for today, in the next 21 days, the IP is going to expire, and the DHCP server is going to redistribute IP to your system again. Maybe at that time, at the new distribution, your system is going to get 192.168.100.25. So, and this is why it is called dynamic IP, which means you have static IP and dynamic IP. Static IP, you manually set it up, you assign an IP to your system. Dynamic, the DHCP server is dynamically distributing IPs to your system. I hope you understand this. Right. So now, what next? We click on next. Okay. Yes, do you want to activate this? Here you just click on yes, I want to configure this option now. So to add an IP address for routers, just click on. We don't need this for now. So you can see this is neuter core.local, right? You can say 192.168.100.1 right? It automatically picks my server IP, right? So this server name, what is my server name? My server name is we can find it here, is the name of my server, which is DC NYC-DC001, right? So we just come here and say NYSC-DC001. Let me see if I get that correctly. NYSC-DC001. So if I click on remove, I click on resolve, this is NYC-DC-0. If I click on resolve, you can see it's picking it, and I click on add, right? You can see, so it is automatically picking my server, IP address. So click on next. Win server, we don't need this for now. Click on next. Do you want to activate this scope now? Click on yes. And click on finish. And we are done with our DHCP configuration. So now it means that all devices connected to the network will get an IP assigned to them via our DHCP server configuration. So now all we need to do is to come to address pool. You see our scope and you see all the addresses. 192.168.100.200 is our IP range for distribution, as you can see, address range for distribution. Then 192.168.100.1, 192.168.100.1 is excluded, which means it is not going to be distributed. Then 192.168.100.2 also is not going to be distributed. 192.168.100.3 is not going to be distributed. And again, 192.168.100.5 from this range to 192.168.100.20 is also not going to be distributed. But if you notice, I didn't include 192.168.100.4. So 100.4 is going to be distributed to a device in the network. So after confirming this, what next do we need to do? We need to check that the DHCP is authorized. So now it is showing unauthorized. If it is showing unauthorized, it means that it has been authorized already, right? If it is showing unauthorized, it means it has been authorized already. However, if it is showing you authorized, it means you need to authorize it, right? I hope you get that. So our DHCP server has been authorized now, and now it can distribute, IPs to all devices in the network. So this is how to configure your DHCP server. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any question, please drop in the comment section. I will be happy to help you. Thank you for watching once again. Bye for now.